We have Marco Herbst from Evercam.io here from Dublin. Welcome, Marco.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Tell me about Evercam.
So, our mission is to make cameras more useful. And by cameras, I'm talking about what most people think of as security cameras, these fellows. What we call business information cameras, marketing cameras, social media cameras, because that's what we do. We turn them into something that does a lot more than what they were originally intended for. And our big idea really was to notice that the new types of cameras, the IP cameras, technically they're very, very similar to what today's smartphones are. They're little computers and they're connected to the internet. So by providing an app store and a developer platform, the sort of innovation that we've seen with smartphones can come to the world of CCTV, the world of Big Brother cameras that now can be sort of opened up and made useful and productive in a way that they weren't before.
How did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, that's the very first job we had was to make a time-lapse video for a social gardening project in Berlin. And it was friends of mine working on it. It was this beautiful place where they taught children basically where tomato ketchup comes from by growing tomatoes and things. So what we did was we made a time-lapse video over the year showing the seasons, spring, summer, autumn, winter, and presented it to them as a present. But it required taking these images, putting them into a video, and that's when I learned how awkward these things are to program for, and how unnecessary that was. And really, the idea we're working on today is just an extension of that original, rather trivial problem. So it's now one of the apps, for example, time-lapse. It's now a 99-cent app in our app store, and it'll work on any camera in the world.
Wow. So is this the first time you've been an entrepreneur, or have you done it before?
Yeah, this is business number 2, really. Our first company was jobs.ie. When I left college, I was at a loose end looking for something to do, not really sure what job to take. We set up a jobs marketplace for short-term part-time employment. This would have been the year 2000. That was called nixers.com. Nixer is an Irish expression for basically for doing a job on a Saturday using your boss's tools and not paying any tax.
Okay.
But in Ireland, that is seen in a rather positive light rather than a negative light that you might expect. So we had nixers.com. It was all about short-term part-time employment. That evolved into jobs.ie, which became the largest recruitment marketplace in Ireland.
Wow.
And we sold that up. We were having a good time in Berlin, and then somehow I drifted back into this rotten world of startups and no sleep.
No. So give some advice for the entrepreneurs out there who have not yet started their first company or just at the very beginnings.
Yeah.
What do they have to be cognizant of?
To say, I think the audience we're talking to here is largely the students and the university people, and I really think it's a case of go for it. It's not going to get any easier later on. This is our second time round. In theory, I'm smarter. In theory, I know how it's done. No. It's, I'm just as naive and dumb as I was the first time. I, on a daily basis, ask myself, is it really worth it? It's a lot of effort, so go for it early. I always thought when we left college and started out that it was a great benefit we had that we kind of had nothing to lose. I didn't have all of those other sort of obligations that you collect later in life and the level of comfort. So we went from student life into kind of entrepreneurial life, which are actually quite similar in many ways. I really admire the people who later on in their career are prepared to risk it all for a startup. So in many respects, I think I had it quite easy, and I would suggest if you've got an idea, go for it, and be open-minded that whatever you start with will not be what you end up with.
That's a very wise thing. Companies evolve over time. I mean, think about even the large companies today. IBM was a hardware company. It's not a hardware company anymore. And we have so many other examples. But the entrepreneurial stage, you have to be nimble in doing that.
Yeah, perseverance is just the key ingredient.
Perseverance, absolutely. Passion and perseverance, perhaps. Tell me more about where Evercam is going now and why you're at South by.
Yeah, well, for us, America is the big prize, the big audience. I mean, our idea really only is credible if we can bring it to America and if it's accepted here. So this is my first time in America. It's just super exciting. I've long been told for the last 20 years, I've been having friends saying, oh, you belong in America, you belong in America. And I've been dismissing this idea. And yeah, now I see the sort of, even in a couple of days, the acceptance that we have of quite an innovative idea or a disturbing idea for a lot of people. A lot of people have very negative associations with cameras, with Big Brother, with CCTV. And really that's the agenda we're trying to drive is that, hang on a minute, you can look at this in a totally different way. And I don't think I've had so many conversations in such a short period of time with people who have given me the sort of validation and enthusiasm that we really need when you're trying to do something new.
Right.
So I'm getting a glimpse of why America is what America is in terms of its sort of openness and receptiveness to new ideas.
The culture is very important.
Yeah, right.
It's not the same everywhere. It's not the same. But here at South by, there's a unique environment of entrepreneurs and innovation, and lots of people that are kind of just like you, trying to pursue their ideas.
Yeah, well, like just this afternoon, for example, we were able to set up a camera on 6th Street that's now part of our camera network. You can tweet to that camera, you'll get a reply with an image of what's happening there at 6th Street, you can wave to the camera. All of the other functionality that we have, the ability to grab snapshots, to put streams in other applications, that's all now available from this public camera that we were able to get access to.
Fabulous.
That sort of thing. There's a lot of energy to sort of facilitate new ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also hope a lot of support for entrepreneurs like yourself. Have you bootstrapped the company? Are you?
Evercam is basically a pivot from, I described the original idea, the time-lapse. Where we took the time-lapse idea was into the security space, because security is where it's at with cameras. So we built a cloud CCTV security model, and we were selling that through the telcos. Companies paid a monthly fee, and we stored their video. And in terms of not ending up with what you set out for, funnily enough, where we ended up right back was building these funny apps like time-lapse. And that happened because, unlike nearly every IT-based technology, I think for security, there hasn't been the major benefits of moving to the cloud, which we were surprised by. And there was a lot of sort of pain involved with taking 24/7 streaming video from all of these devices. So what we ended up with was something that's slightly higher value, solving business problems, problems of product moving through a warehouse, the problems of finding damaged goods, and using the benefits that we had of the hosted environment. So not for security, but to solve totally unexpected problems that we didn't know existed. But it was a case of customers coming to us and saying, well, can you not do it that way? And just going with the flow.
It's amazing how testing the market by talking to the customers really pays off.
That's also very much what I mean into the original question you asked about just getting out there and doing it. Because otherwise you live in an ivory castle, you read TechCrunch and Hacker News all day, you can get very analytical about your idea, but you got to get it out there and let other people say, no, that's crap, but what about if you did it that way? Or I'd love it if you'd do that way, or I'd pay more if you could do this. That's kind of where most things
So it's not being theoretical, it's just get the idea, implement it, do something, get real world feedback.
That would be my experience. I mean, I wish I could say that I was slightly clever and we knew what the customer wanted beforehand, but I've been wrong pretty much every time, but it's always ended up okay because we stay at it.
I don't think it could have ended up too bad, as you've already built and sold one company.
Yeah, well.
This is great. Marco, thank you for coming to Austin, Texas. Wow. Thanks for coming to Southwest, and thanks for sharing your entrepreneurial ideas with us.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure.
Great pleasure.
Thank you.